Greetings everyone, Mr. Nowicki here. Today we're going to go over a new project. It's a design challenge on the task is to create a mailbox, a three-part mailbox. So the one part would be the post that gets buried into the ground partially. The second part would be the actual mailbox, and the third part would be the flag that goes onto the mailbox. So what we need to think about is scale, the scale of what we're doing. So mailbox, typically the tall part of the timber is buried into the ground about 2 feet, and then the mailbox sits at a part sticking out from that about 3.5 feet up, and then there's a little bit like a ledge coming off the other side to kind of counterbalance it. So I'm going to go through how to do this, and I'm just kind of estimating. I could look on Home Depot or Lowe's website and get the exact measurements and everything, but this is just kind of a quick design challenge. So let's get started with just the post part. So if I say, let's see, I'm going to do a rectangle. I'm going to start at 0, 0, and the first dimension is 3.5 inches. Typically, the wood that's used in these posts are 4x4s. That's pre-processed lumber, so once it's finished and gone through the drying and cutting and process, a 4x4 is technically 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So it's 3.5 inches, and then the height is going to be 6 feet, so I'm going to say 72 inches, and then I'm going to hit enter, and then there I have the first part of my post. So I'm going to click Finish Sketch, and then I'm going to click Extrude, and I want to extrude it 3.5 inches. So now there's the square part of my post. Now I'll have another piece that's going to come out about here, and then we'll be done with that. So let's click Start, and I'm going to draw my sketch here. So one of the pluses of always starting at 0, 0, it's easy to do the math to set things up. So I know I'm not going to start here because, you know, I'm going to have this part that's going to be buried. So I'm going to put a point there just to kind of be a mental reminder for me. So I start here. I'm going to come up. I'm going to tab into my Y, and I'm going to say 24 inches. So now I know that part right there that's going to be underground. So now I can go do another point, and I'm going to say, let's see, it's going to be about, that's 2, and then about another 3 up from there. So 2 feet is 24 inches plus 36, that would be 60 inches, right? Because that would be at 5 feet. So there's my other line there. That's my other kind of mental reminder. So now what I'm going to do is actually create a piece coming out like this, and I'm going to say it's 3.5, and I'm guessing about 20 inches or so, maybe, yeah. That's probably fine. And then I'm going to click Finish Sketch, and then I'm going to extrude it 3.5 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to do another sketch on the back end, because remember I said there's this piece of wood kind of sticking out behind this, and it's kind of cool. This feature is called Project Geometry. So what that can do is, see how I'm on the back side of this post and this part sticking out the front? So if I click Project Geometry, it's going to say, hey, I know there's this shape on the other surface. I want you to show me where that line is. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click here. Okay, so now I have a visual, right? I can just go ahead and click here. I'm going to start where my green dot ends, or matches up, I should say, and I have 3.5 by 3.5. I say enter. So I just drew a square that's going to match, so it's all even. That's how I make sure this is even. So when I click extrude, oh, I totally forgot to actually draw the square. I never actually drew the square. So 3.5 by 3.5. Now I click Finish. And then when I click Extrude, it's probably going to come out about, I don't know, probably like maybe 6 inches or so, right? So there is my post. And typically this is like, this wood here would be cut halfway through, and this would be cut halfway through, and then they would kind of fit together almost like a puzzle piece. That's how you get that structural integrity I could put another piece of wood coming out here at 45 degrees, but not every mailbox has that. It's not like it's going to be holding a ton of weight. It's typically letters, flyers, and nothing super heavy. So we're probably okay without adding that other part. I've seen it with and I've seen it without. So now I'm going to highlight all these extrusions. Right, I click on the first one, I hold shift, and I click all the way down on the third one. I right click, click properties, and for my feature appearance, I typically click the yellow pine. Alright, and there's that. So now I can go ahead and save this. Excuse me, I'm going to save this to, use save yours where you want to save it. Don't worry about where I'm saving mine. Mine's completely different. So, and I'm going to call this, let's see here. I'm going to create a new folder called Mailbox, Inventor Mailbox. And when I go in there, I'm going to call this part, instead of part whatever, I'm going to call this post. Alright, so that's the post. So now I'm going to start my new part, and I'll continue that on in the next video.